Hello, hello. I'm so intimidated, Anaconda. Welcome to the Imperfect Podcast, the podcast where we bring amazing people to talk about their imperfections. But today we have a special guest, and it's a special
You
episode.
have a champion. You have
We
a
have a
champion
champion.
in imperfection.
We have a champion of imperfection, and we have the founder of the Harmonic Circle Academy, an academy I've been part of for the last 4 years. And I'm here in this podcast thanks to also all the learning and the experiences and exchange that we've had with Anaconda over the last 4 years. He accompanied me in so many ups and downs and so many and it's a journey. It's an amazing journey. I'm really happy and thrilled, Anaconda, and honored to have you here. It's been a dream for me since I started this podcast to have you here, and now it's happening imperfectly, but that's the point. And we're here because, Anaconda, you're now working on taking the academy, the Harmonic Circle Academy, to the next level. And so it's a pleasure for me to have you here to talk about that also, so we can spread as much as possible the seeds of this academy in the world, because I think the world needs it. And it's a beautiful mission that we can also contribute with and be at service with. So, Anaconda, I'll ask you two questions, and then we'll go straight to personal questions. This is the terms of the agreement that we had together, and then we'll go straight to the presentation of the academy. The first question is a very difficult one, which is especially for you, I guess, because I ask my guests to present and introduce themselves in whatsoever way they want. So, please, Anaconda.
So I introduce myself.
Yes.
Well, my name is. I have many names. The names I'm using right now is mostly is Anaconda, like the snake, and Papaya, like the fruit, the tree, the plant. Because I've been living for the last 30 years within a community in northern Italy. Where we like to play, and one of the games we play is to adopt animal names and plant names. That is, those who wish to. And the purpose is to remind ourselves of our interconnection with nature, with life at large in all its forms. And sometimes we humans get a little bit too confident in our sense of importance and being, kind of unique in many ways. But the fact is, we are completely interdependent from all other life forms on the planet, not to say the elements, like water, air, everything. So we want to, in our community called Damanhur, we'd like to celebrate this greater connection, this greater uh, ecosystem that we all participate in. And we like to celebrate the beauty of these interconnections by playfully adopting animal names, plant names, mineral names sometimes. So that's who I am from my name point of view. Other than that, I've been, since I can remember, since I was very, very young, I've been a spiritual seeker. And when I say very young, I mean it. I literally started reading books about psychology and spirituality and trying to understand this planet and life on Earth since I was very, very young. Like 12 years old, I read a book that changed my life. It's called The Third Eye by Lobsang Rampa, a Tibetan monk. And that book helped me understand things that I felt inside, but I couldn't really give a name to. I couldn't really understand under the perspective of my education at the time. And I was born in Italy, where I live now. And so that was the beginning of a journey that's never ended, really. I've been practicing several paths in learning about many different modalities of awakening our consciousness and fulfilling the purpose for which I personally believe we are alive on this planet. That is to grow, to evolve, just like all life is a journey of evolution. And the game here is more than individual. Nowadays, it's a collective game. It seems that, sorry, it seems that um, we have pretty much, many of us have already experienced in many lifetimes, because I believe in reincarnation. And I have practiced past life regression therapy for more than 30 years. So I've personally regressed more than several thousand people at the end. Also doing group regressions. And by so doing, I learned a lot about our history. Not the history that's in the books at school, but the real history, that is the history we have encoded inside our memories, our deep-rooted memories, individual, collective. And it is my belief that most of us have actually had many spiritual experiences in past lives and reached very high peaks of understanding, of evolution, of awakening. And that this time around, this particular day and age, the challenge is to be able to wake up, and not so much anymore only on an individual level. It is more a challenge to wake up on a collective level. And it's kind of a make it or break it scene, I guess. If you if you read the news these days, you get a sense of the challenges that we're all facing from many points of view, not just wars and even many things that we're so addicted to hearing we don't pay attention to it anymore, but species disappearing and the ecosystem being completely destroyed. So we're basically on a self-destruction itinerary direction. So the challenge now is to wake up together so that we can create a different future for ourselves, for our children, for the planet, and most importantly, for that part of us that never dies, that is our consciousness, our soul. And so I see this world to be as a school, and everything that happens to us in our lives to be part of the graduation process. So this is me. I'm trying to do my best to share what I've learned on this journey in this life and other lives with those who are interested. And this game, because I call it a game, takes now the form of the Harmonic Circle Academy and the courses, the trainings we offer within this academy. And that's it. That's my introduction.
Wow. Uh, Maybe because you mentioned the academy, I what really for me makes the difference within this academy is that it's not only a class, you know, it's not a master class where you come and you just give us information, and it's not even an interactive class. It's a class where we experiment and live the learning, the teachings that you're giving, you know, and the notions are not so many, but it's been 4 years we're trying to embody them, you know, like, and every time we go back to a notion, we look at it from a different perspective, we grasp different aspects of it, and in this world where we're all impatient to learn, we want to accumulate classes and teachers and experiences. And I was one of these people. I think what I really learned from this experience is that it's not about the quantity, it's about the experience. It's about understanding and grasping the notion and living it. And what helped me a lot with this, with the academy is to open my heart more in a world where, you know, you get the first kick, the second kick, the third kick, and slowly, slowly you start to close your heart. So, what I learned here is despite all the kicks that I continue to receive, by the way, you can decide to keep your heart open. And most importantly, to follow my intuition. Because I think before I joined the academy, I like killed my intuition because the world in which we live, the society, the work, the rhythm make us want to be you know, like radical and to plan and to do everything, and it doesn't leave a space for flowing. And I think what the academy also gave me is the sense of flowing and being okay with flowing. Anaconda, you've probably mentioned it in your introduction, but I want to hear it from you in a brief sentences, because this is another notion that you also taught us, which is to have a purpose in life, to have a meaning, mission in life. Because, and as you say it, if you don't have a mission or if you don't have an objective in life, what would happen? At best, we would be instruments for others to reach their goals or their missions or their objectives. And in this sense, what
Absolutely.
is your mission in life?
Well, my personal mission in life is the way I see it, the way I feel it since quite a while. Actually, I feel I've made this vow to myself and to life, to the universe, to God, to um is that I just want to be of some use. I want to help. I want to be part of the solution as much as I can. I'm far from perfect, so I'm a perfect candidate for your podcast because I'm everything but perfect. I'm not a guru. I'm not a enlightened anything. I mean, you can see me. I'm more than human. I'm I'm probably the least qualified in many ways. I have my struggles, I have my limitations, I have my humanity. But despite all that, and with all that, my mission, my wish is to be able to offer a contribution, an example, but most importantly, to enjoy the process of, well, I call it spiritual sex.
Mhm.
I call it spiritual sex. And when we wear these bodies, when we're in this animal form, we're all completely bewildered by sex because sex in all its different forms, not just the act, but everything around it, from even the objects you buy in a supermarket are studied to be able to entice your animal instincts to make you buy one shampoo that has a certain shape rather than another, and colors. Everything is around this concept of sense gratification. And that's something we're immersed in. And there's not much we can do about it. And there's nothing wrong about it per se. Um, I think it's a problem when that's all we have, all we do. There's nothing else. And it's a it's a never-ending race because you can never appease the fire of desire, because the more you feed it, the more the fire grows. And therefore, most of us on earth nowadays, if we don't have spiritual training, if we don't have spiritual knowledge, basically we're just running around in the animals in the cage. How do you call them? Those,
The race,
yeah. Running after something that we believe is going to get us what we're hoping will be a lasting sense of fulfillment. But our experience is different. Kind of the more we get, the less we're satisfied, or we're always postponing our objective in sacrificing time, relationships, quality, for something. It's like a mirage, something that's always running further. And then we have a family, and then a job, and then a house, and then everything. By the time we kind of think we've got it together, our life went by, and we haven't had time to cultivate the real reason we're here. So, what's spiritual sex? Spiritual sex is the alternative to, or at least the complement to, being run by our animal bodies, and relish a higher taste, a higher level of pleasure, of fun, of gratification. And for me, that comes in the form of, first of all, myself being in touch with my deeper being, cultivating the relationship daily with the most important person in my life. It's not my wife. It's not my children. I don't have children, but had I had children, it wouldn't be them. It's not my relatives. It's not my larger family. It's myself. I am the most important person in my life. Because if I don't get along with myself, and if I don't befriend my deeper self, if I don't get in touch, as you said, with my heart and my intuition, then I'm actually not really living fully what it is to be human, because a human form is a huge opportunity to connect to higher. In spiritual teachings and esoteric schools, the human form is considered a bridge form. It's a bridge between the divine and the earthly. Having a human body means to be able, if one chooses, if someone chooses and wishes to be able to actually connect to our divine nature. It's within the possibilities, within the range that this body allows to experience. But we need to cultivate that. We need to practice that. And the first step is to become one's own best friends. And you cannot be friend with someone unless you spend time with them. It's just a fact. How can you be friend with someone you never meet, you never talk to, you never listen to? So spending quality time, not much, even 10, 20 minutes with yourself every day, listening to yourself, feeling into your body, into your heart, that is the first step. And then, and that gives a great pleasure. And I call it a spiritual sex pleasure, because it is evergreen, it's expanding. Unlike the pleasure we receive when we gratify our senses, which tends to culminate and then finish. And if we even indulge more, it becomes the opposite. It becomes painful. If you indulge in anything that you like, can it be drinking, eating, whatever, when we overdo it, it turns into something unpleasant. Whereas spiritual pleasure, when we enjoy with our spiritual senses, it is a ever expanding pleasure. And there's no limit. And it's really a higher taste. And the thing is, when you relish a higher taste, then everything else is less. And then what comes next? What's better than being in touch with yourself? Well, even better is when you share that pleasure with others, when you can help others reach that same level of internal connection with their higher self. Because when two beings who are on the path of awakening relate to each other from that place, when there's no judgment, there's no envy, there's no jealousy, there's no fear, because the state of consciousness is that your success is my success, and my success is your success. You see, unlike material mathematics, where if I have, you have less, there's only that much, and there's division and there's loss. Well, in spiritual dynamics, spiritual mathematics, the more you give, the more you get. It's a multiplication game. So that is the higher taste. That's what I call spiritual sex, is when you dovetail the deeper sense of your life to the cultivating first within yourself, so there can be authenticity, because it's not a matter of preaching, teaching, going around telling people what they should do. No, it's a matter of experiencing this bliss inside and then naturally sharing it with others. It's like when a candle is lit, it meets another candle, it lights up. And the flame that lights up another candle does not get diminished. That's spiritual mathematics. It just grows and expands and multiplies. And the more lit candles, the more light, the more warmth, the more pleasure. So this is, for me, the mission of my life, to try to be as much as I can in service of lighting up as many candles that I can, so that in turn they can light up other candles. And together, hopefully, we can light up some of this planet and bring some warmth, some joy, some lights, and humbly doing so, not thinking that we're anything special. We're just doing what humans do when they awaken. It's kind of natural. And what's most important is enjoy doing this, is enjoying the process. It's not always easy. It's not always easy because in order to keep that light going, you must burn something. And what you're burning is all the past identifications, all the past um, mechanism, reactions, and habits, and fears, and attachments. You see, it's kind of dying while you're alive, in a sense, right? When a candle burns, it must transform, it becomes something else. Before you have this candle of wax, but then as it burns, it sublimates. And so, as humans living in an awakened state, it doesn't mean that you have to start doing something special and feeling better than anybody else. No, it just means that you are living in a state of consciousness. We call it the state of eternity. That is the perspective of eternity. While you live at your everyday life fully, you are aware that this life is a dream in a dream. It's going to end. Every life that has started will end. There's no alternative to that. So when we get caught up and uptight and emotional in a negative way, it's usually because we forget our eternity, or rather we forget our mortality. Otherwise, we wouldn't waste time getting pissed off with a person who passes us with their car. I mean, in the light of infinite time and infinite space, and especially in the light of the fact that we all have very little time in this life, why would I waste even a thought, even a bit of my attention to something that's absolutely meaningless? So this word, meaning, is the key. What is the meaning that we can attribute to everything? You ask, what's my mission? I could transform that in, what is my meaning? What is the meaning I give to what I experience? That is where our mission goes. If your meaning is that you're only a father, you're only a certain nationality because your body was born there, or you identify with a job, anything that limits you relative to being a spark of infinity, which we all are, is just preparing you to suffer from the deception and the disappointment that sooner or later that identity, that identification, that effort is gonna let go. You're gonna have to let go of it. So might as well let go while you're living, so you don't set yourself up for disappointment. And you put your energy, your attention, the meaning of your life, all the while you can actually be a better father. You can be a better businessman. You can be a better partner, a better anything in life if you come from a place of wisdom and understanding and detachment rather than identification and tension and fear. So this I consider to be my mission, but not just my mission. It's potentially the mission for anyone who feels for these words, anyone who resonates with what I'm saying. it means if they resonate with it, it's because they also have in their heart this wisdom, this vision, this mission potentially. It's just a matter of putting it into action.
Wow. Uh,
Make sense?
there were so many notions in what you've said, and what touched me is that in some places, I wanted to say something and then you said it. Especially, for example, when you were talking about enjoyment and fun, because I think this is something that really touches me from our discussions, is that you always want to make sure that whatever we are doing, we're doing it, we're having fun, we're enjoying it. And the notion of enjoyment sometimes is forbidden. You know, it's not good. You have to. Life is difficult, especially in my upbringing or my education. You know, like you need to be serious and you need to be. You know? So yeah, and I'm a witness of all the candles that you contributed to light up in the surrounding, in the harmonic circles I've been to. So I really see this. It's not only a concept; it's a reality, and I could see also how, like, I can really feel and sense how when you light up, when you contribute to light to the light of someone else, your light doesn't fed, is not faded.
Fade. It doesn't fade, but it actually
Exactly, and the
enriches
other
itself.
person,
Yeah.
also shine on the people around them. Let's say I talk about myself, you know, like I'm more and more aware of the impact of my thoughts, of my actions, of my way of living, and of my light on me and on the other people. And I think, in my experience, I had to balance very well the two, as you said, you know, because sometimes I'm like, okay, I want to light my kids, my wife, my family, my friends. I want to be the light for everyone, but then I forget myself. And there are moments in my life where I was like, when I meditate, I'm just giving light to myself, because it's important also to remember ourselves. But Anaconda, two questions come to my mind. I will start with one of them. When you talk about spirituality and spiritual sex, in some cases, and in and in a lot of people, like I see around me, we're afraid of spirituality. We confuse spirituality with sorcellery and with, you know, like, yeah, you know, this is not serious enough. This is not work. And you said something that really touched me. It's the spirituality is the meaning we give to our thing. And we can be a father, we can be a business man, we can be. How can we say to these people, and how can we convince them, or what's your take on this? How can these the people who think that spirituality is something not very sexy, how can we change them? Or we're not going to change them, but how can we show them
Yeah. Well,
path?
don't
Yeah,
let them be. Why would you want to change anybody?
because I'm interacting with them every day. I can't. No, but yeah.
That's a good point. Well, I see what you mean, but let me take the opportunity to share how important it is not to try to change other people, because everyone has a time, let's say, kairos, the right timing in their life. And when we are ready for certain teachings, you know the saying, when you're ready, the teaching appears. They say normally the teacher appears, but it may be a book, it may be an Instagram thing. I mean, you may have been exposed physically to the same information, but it hasn't meant anything to you when you're not ready. When you're ready, even a leaf falling from a tree can awaken you because you are ready. So I wouldn't put too much effort in trying to change others as much as being that person that you would wish to be. as best as you can. And because of the way life is organized, because this whole environment, the physical reality, this planet, this solar system, this galaxy, this whole physical universe is, even scientists describe it as essentially void. It is organized. It's a little bit like the movies on a screen or on a TV. There's little dots moving that create the appearance. Even like now, we're talking at each other, we're looking at each other in a screen, and it looks like it makes a lot of sense, and it does, but it's not what's on the screen. It's our eye, not even our eye. Our eye translates it into our cerebellum, which organizes these lights and gives it meaning. So everything is really that we perceive happening out there is really happening in here. So the whole purpose of this whole, let's say, virtual game, immense virtual game that we're all participating in, as I was saying before, is a school. And in a school, everyone is doing their course of studies. And it doesn't make sense that someone do something that they're not prepared for. If you try to teach abstract math to a child who's only learning natural arithmetics, not only they won't grasp it, but you're going to damage their process. It's going to take them longer to actually learn to appreciate higher math because they need to first ground the basics. So I believe we should totally respect wherever people are, use our time to do our own befriending process. And the way this school is organized is that when a person is ready, if they see you practicing your own truth and they recognize that quality of serenity, of joy, of peace of mind, of goodwill, kindness, these people who are ready will be attracted by that, and they will want to hang out with you. They will want to know more. And so naturally, there will be a passing on. There may be some questions, or they may be just picking up from behaviors, but even knowing that it's possible to be kind. Nowadays, to be kind is a miracle. You know, we think that in order to be spiritual, we must multiply fish and water and wine, whatever. No, being kind consistently, no matter what, and no matter with who, is a mystical power. It is literally a miracle. And to do that and to have that as one of your guiding principles and being able to do it is really a spiritual path on its own. That's why we, in the Harmonic Circle, we created relationships yoga as the base training for one's awakening. Because it's through relationships that we all do all day long with ourselves, with others, with groups at the workplace, that we train our being, not our brain, our beingness. We must embody these teachings and experience them. When we embody it, people around us will pick it up, and those who are ready will ask, they will learn from our example, they'll be inspired, and that spark, that fire will be transmitted, not because we teach, not because we want to change others, unless they ask. If someone asks, this is my personal vision. If someone asks, then you must be generous and you must give, but not too much. Give a little, what they can take. And then when they practice that, then they can ask more. But don't try to give everything you know, because they can't do it. They'll do indigestion. So that's one thing. The other thing is you say, well, but I work with these people. I'm with them all day. I want to change them but that's really your need. You should, my point of view, you should learn to be patient with those who are not there and reminding yourself that you were not there. You were like them yesterday. So why would you be so intolerant and impatient with them now? I mean, love people the way they are. You should not be conditioned by people's limitations or even their bad character sometimes, or their whatever you perceive as a form of incompleteness is really your own narrow-mindedness. Because you see, every saint, there's a saying, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. So when you broaden the perspective and the meaning of what people are going through, then you can kind of make peace with what is in the present and accept, don't resist it. Um, just learn to be with it and find contentment, whatever the situation is externally. If something or somebody bothers you, it's because you are internally triggered by something that you're not letting go of. There's a judgment, an attachment, fear, something. It can be just simple presumption. Ability translates into intelligence. Socrates' intelligence. Socrates who says, I know that I don't know. That is the highest form of wisdom and humility, right? So when we deal with other human beings and we find them uncomfortable, which happens a lot, well, it helps to remember that this other saying that says every person we meet is fighting a battle that we know nothing about. So be kind always. This is an important point of view because it helps us change the way we relate to others, reminding ourselves that just like we have our own struggles, our own battles, our own pitfalls, we shouldn't get too uptight about others because others have to tolerate our own inconsistencies, our own incoherences, our own bad character traits. We all have something that is triggering for others. So we also must learn to tolerate others. It's as simple as that, the way I see it, at least.
So it's a perfect transition to the heart of this podcast. What is what others need to tolerate in you, or what is for you, in your case, the thing that the
Well,
imperfection?
I I have a long list of things that people I've been living in communities since I was 18 nonstop, and I'm 50 what now? 54? 64? Sorry, I'm
Wow,
64.
you've just won
I'm
10
not really
years.
in touch with my age. Sorry?
You've just won 10 years. I think, like, age is a number, like
No,
50.
I don't really. I never remember my birthday. I'm not very bad at time in general. So, but um, I have a long list. Having lived in community, I've had many opportunities to get feedback about what people enjoy and what people don't enjoy about being around me. And I'm Aries, an astrological type, and Sagittarius. They're both fire signs. So, depending on the other person's characters, some people who are more mild and calm and chill and relaxed, maybe Libra types, maybe Cancer types, maybe water signs, they may feel the heat of being around me. I can be considered very hyperactive. Like last night, I slept less than 4 hours because I was caught up in wanting to finish something for the relationships yoga course, and I got up early and I just continued. So sometimes I have these peaks of hyperactivity. Not always, then I catch up with lazy parts moments, but that's something that many people don't like being around me. I always say that I like Groucho Marx, the American comic Groucho Marx, the Marx Brothers. Well, Groucho Marx used to say, he's a Woody Allen kind of type. He used to say, I would never want to be in a club where they accept people like me.
Yeah.
So, I've had many relationships with loving partners in my life, and the common
Denominator.
the common critique that my partners all agree on is that I'm not there. It's like I'm elsewhere. I'm not they don't feel that I'm fully there. And I understand because the truth is I'm not.
Where are you, man?
I am passionate about this mission that I've been some in one form or another working for and fulfilling as much as I can all my life in different ways. As you know, I've been a monk from 18 to 28. I've did a deep dive in ashrams in India and France and around the world in bhakti yoga, and that was a really full-on committed path with many hours every day of meditation, rituals, practices, long hours of study, the Vedas. And after that, I've opened my center where I was teaching in Milano, and then I came to live in Damaner. I've been a teacher for 20 years and trying to bring these values, these ideas into education in elementary school, middle school, high school. And so one form or another, and then the academy, that has been my real lover. My real main lover has been my mission. So most of my partners felt I was a bit distracted, perhaps, and they were right. I mean, I'm not saying this as I'm not necessarily proud of it because I would have liked to be able to do both, but it just wasn't in my, let's say, numbers to be able to. So that's another thing that people have to tolerate about being around me. And sometimes it's my perfectionism and my being manic about details, just as I can be completely the opposite, completely sloppy on other things and incoherent in many ways. I don't know, I could go on and on, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure people are so interested to hear my
No,
boring
what I would ask you,
defects.
no, but
What?
to be honest, Anaconda, I think I remember when I started the Harmonic Circle, I used to ask you, how can I call you? You know, when I talk to you about you to others, what and like guru, guide, teacher, and you always said, I don't want a title. I don't wanna, and you always focused and reminded us that even you have defects, and even any person has their imperfections.
Even, I mean,
You know,
especially.
and especially exactly, everyone has
Yeah,
their
it's normal.
imperfections, and in fact, for a perfectionist like me, uh, it opened a huge autoroute of possibilities, and it allowed this podcast to exist. And by the way, its name of imperfect podcast come from here because I'm allowing myself to be more and more imperfect and to accept, as you said it, my imperfection, to be aware. You, when I asked you what are your imperfections, you had a list already ready, and you were able to talk about it in a very normal way and in a very detached way without feeling bad or whatsoever. And I think this is the key whenever you talk about imperfection, is to be aware of them, not to accept them, and to consider them as things that you can build on to grow and to become a better version of yourself and to be you, your unique version. Yeah. Anaconda.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to add something, sorry, about this one simple concept. I once had a spiritual teacher who said something that really stuck with me, a simple concept. He said, in any given circumstance, you always have both favorable and unfavorable aspects. In this world, we have no pure either or condition. Every coin has two sides, or every stick has two ends. everything is dual. So he said, spiritual intelligence consists in maximizing the favorable and minimizing the unfavorable. So obviously, the very idea of perfect, imperfect, you see, the word imperfect evokes the idea of perfect.
Yeah.
But what does it even mean? I mean, at the end of the day, what is perfect? Okay, you know what? Want to know one of my favorite quotes from Zen? In water that is too pure, there are no fish.
Mm.
And that says it all.
Yeah. Exactly. Perfect is boring.
You know, the reason for this universe to exist, from my point of view, my conclusion about why does all this exist? If there's a God and so on and so forth. Well, the paradox about God, God is perfect, right? In theory, if there is such a thing as the Godhead, as the source of everything that is, well, we know it's eternal by definition. It's infinite by definition, and it's all-knowing. Or is it? Because what is the only thing that God cannot be or have or experience? Being, infinite, eternal, and etc. Well, there's only one thing that God cannot experience, and that is not being God.
Yeah.
In other words, imperfection.
Exactly.
So, what does God do? God takes the form of this expression of life and imperfection, what we call evolution and whatnot, and the craziness of this world and all the experiences which arise from not being all knowing, not being eternal, not being all conscious, and etc. So, because ultimately, there's nothing that is not spiritual. We humans, we have this idea spiritual, non-spiritual, as if there, but if everything comes from the God, how can something not be spiritual? Because everything comes from the same source. So in the end, all these divisions are divisions in our minds that stem from interpretations, that is, meanings we give to things. But a perfectly awakened person doesn't separate anything from spirit, even that which spirit is not or appears not to be, because at the end, it's a state of mind. So, this is a very interesting perspective, I believe, to understand that maybe we are God, or each one of us is a spark of God experiencing itself through separation. Because unless there's darkness, you can't appreciate the light. So through not knowing, then we can re-experience knowingness coming from not knowingness. But if everything was all knowingness all the time, everywhere, and only that, there would be no tension, no evolution, no lack, and therefore no fulfillment, no movement, no life as we know it. So this may sound a little philosophical, I understand. For some people, it's like mumbo jumbo talking. But in my mind, in my heart, it is very interesting to understand that everything that we experience as limitation is a reflex of the perfection of imperfection. That's the
It's a
way I
gift
see
for
it.
me, Anaconda, because you're telling me what I take from all this is that the only thing that God cannot be is imperfection. And so we are, we are,
You are superior to
yeah, we're
God.
over here on the huge thing, like the imperfect podcast is, yeah,
It's a truly divine
yeah, yeah.
podcast. You know, there's one big problem with perfection. Now, going from high philosophical visions to very down to earth. And you and I both know this because we both are plagued by this problem. Too much attachment to perfection stops us from action. Is an excuse. It's a reason not to do things and that's why you've been thinking of this podcast for over 2 years. You've been talking to me about it, but it never happened because you were never quite at the right exact everything, all the condition, da da da. Then one day you woke up with this big intuition. Hey, the Imperfect podcast, and you made it. You did it because you accepted imperfection. So you see, I'm still there. I've been but I've been wanting to write a book for like 40 years, and I never did because I'm waiting the perfect condition and everything. So you see, you're much better off than I am, speaking of limitations. And I still am in the process of learning that lesson to just let go and do the best I can and be okay with it in some aspects of my life.
So hopefully, and I'll give you a challenge here, once you write your book in a few months, we'll come
I'll
back
come
to
back and present it.
exactly, because now we're presenting the academy, and I wanted to
That's a
finish.
challenge.
Yeah, no, it's and I wanted to give a little bit on the last part of this podcast to talk a little bit about the academy and the new harmonic circle and the relationship yoga class that you're launching next week. Can you tell us a little bit more about the concept, the experience of the relationships yoga?
Sure. Happily. So, the harmonic circle is an ongoing process. It's a little bit like, to give a comparison, it's like, imagine a gym or a yoga studio, okay, where someone goes and you have a membership, you pay some contribution to share the space and the whoever is running the place and the teachers, and then you go regularly to the studio and you practice there. Why do you do gym in a studio? Well, because there's the tools, there's the space, but also it's easier to do things. It's like it's easier to study in a library than it is at home with the children screaming, with the noises and distractions. So you go to a library, everyone's studying in silence. And so it's so much easier because we all resonate with those mind waves. So likewise, when we go to a gym, there's other people doing gym. So it's stimulating. It's much easier to overcome the natural laziness, the inertia, because everyone's doing the same thing and it's more fun. There's sharing, and then you have some coach that's there and he can give you advice, will deal with you, will give you some support and encouragement and whatnot. And knowledge, if you need to know something specific, these people are trained to really be able to help. They're trainers, right? Personal trainers. So that's what the harmonic circle is. The harmonic circle is kind of a club for people who have decided that in their life, one of their important goals is to wake up to, you said, the best version of themselves. And that means practicing regularly. We meet once a week, and it's a year-long thing. I mean, people can go on for years. There's people who've been doing harmonic circle for 20 years, literally. Actually, in my Italian group, there's someone who started 40 years ago in the very
Really?
first edition, and she's
Wow.
still doing it. Yeah. Not only her, actually, there's there's also another couple of people still doing it for 40 years. But that said, that's what the harmonic circle is. It's where all of the knowledge that I've personally experienced to have been very helpful for me, regardless of the theories I'm not too much into the theoretical part. I like to share things that are very efficient, very helpful in practical ways to stay on track with one's higher intentions. And that's the harmonic circle. But the question is, how does a new person join the harmonic circle? How does a person who doesn't know anything about the tools in the gym, who doesn't know the basic postures of yoga, how can they just come into a class that already started some months before? So that's why we created relationships yoga. Relationships yoga is only 8 meetings where we share the fundamentals, the basic practices of the harmonic circle, so that when the person has acquired the basic knowledge, the tools, the practices, and they, first of all, they may decide that this is something that has been very helpful for them, and they may not want to join the gym. Some people practice yoga at home, and that's perfectly fine. You learn the techniques and then you practice yoga at home. Others may choose to join the harmonic circle, but then they know exactly what's going on there, how to do it, what people, they learn the practices, and therefore they can much more easily and happily join the harmonic circle and not feel left behind because they understand what's going on in there. So that's what relationships yoga is. And basically, we learn 3 areas of evolutionary communication, we call it, or alchemical communication, that is internal within oneself, and interpersonal in relationships, and then the group dynamics. A group that has a like-minded, we said, that has a shared goal, can be a very, very powerful magnifier of even the individual will and willpower and mental strength of those participating individually. So when we create a resonating, that's why it's called harmonic circle. It's a musical reference. When a circle of people goes into harmonic resonance, it creates a multiplying factor. It's a mathematical concept from sacred geometry, whereby, let's say you have 10 people working together, each with the aim of increasing their own individual awareness. Well, if you do it alone, you proceed at a certain speed. If you do it together with other people and you're 10 together with the same goal, you will have 10 times more energy available for your own individual growth. So you go 10 times faster, which means potentially in 1 year of training, you will be where you would be 10 years alone. So that's a little bit a wrap up of what this is. And we're starting new relationship yoga courses now in May, on the 21st of May in English in the international group, 22nd of May in Italian, and then we have Spanish. German is pending the date. We had the presentation. We're waiting to have the number of people signing up for the actual course to start, and then Spanish will be in July. But one can practice relationship yoga and join the course anytime throughout the year, because it can also be done self-paced through video recordings. So instead of joining a relationship yoga class, anybody can at any time throughout the year download the videos, the 8 videos, and study relationships yoga at home on their own, at their own rhythm. And then they can choose if they want to join a harmonic circle or if they just want to practice on their own at home. That's it.
Amazing. Maybe we
I
can
think I said it
also
all.
huh? In
I said
French.
nothing. I was coughing.
Because
Yes, I'm ready.
speak French.
Actually, I was waiting for you to say so. I already prepared the communications in French. I was just waiting you to say what you just said now.
Let's do it.
I'll
Let's
send it
do
to
it.
you in 5 minutes.
Say something about the harmonic circle.
There's some problem in the connection.
No
At least I
problem,
hear you
Anaconda. Yeah,
breaking up. Start
uh,
again. Start again.
I was
It
this
will
part
be
I will
fixed. You
so
were saying you're a perfect example of being ready.
because there is this
True.
if
That's
somebody is
part of the
hearing
magic
us,
of the harmonic circle. Nothing.
okay,
Why should I say something? They know what they want to do. If they feel inspired, or when they will feel inspired, they'll sign up. Otherwise, don't. There's no
Anaconda,
one's running after you. It's a self determination that we need. They
I
push
wouldn't have
through.
done it, he pushed me. And I was so happy to
Well,
be
think of it this way. Okay, I can say this if it can help determine someone. The You may have read this sentence because we use it a lot in our course because we really believe it to be true. The quality of your relationships determines more than anything else in your life, the quality of your life. So if you're not feeling completely happy, fulfilled, joyful, and that means there's something off with your relationships. That it doesn't have to do with your financials, with your health. It doesn't have to do really only on anything else. The most impacting, of course, everything can influence us. If we have no food, we're going to be hungry. That will be primary. If we don't have a roof on our head, security first. Okay. But that said, if you have food, you have shelter, then immediately after, what is most important in your life is the quality of your relationships. So relationships yoga is all about how to improve, like very, very rapidly. Doesn't take ages. It only takes understanding a few basic tweaks in our consciousness so that we can really optimize and have a more and more of a fulfilling, serene, peaceful inner state of consciousness. And as a consequence, relationship with others, joyful, fulfilling, and then also be an active contributor to our society and to the planet as a whole. Because the more people who are happy and satisfied, the more the energy, the quality of life on the planet will increase naturally as a consequence. So I would say it's a very egotistic thing to do in a good sense. By studying relationships yoga, the first person who's going to benefit from it, it's you. And if you don't, if it doesn't work for you, let it go. You know, you will only, the worst case, you will have lost a few hours of your life or invested a few hours in your life. But what's at stake is huge, because if what we're saying is true, you're going to really, really benefit from it. Not only you, but your family, your children, your partner, all the people who come in touch with you. Because the more centered you are, the more heart-centered and more awakened you are, the more positivity and good vibes you're going to spread all around you. So this is maybe what I could add.
Motivation.
Well,
Uh,
maybe we can turn this into something like we make topics and we discuss some of the basic components of relationships yoga, and we make separate videos discussing them,
yeah.
the topics like presence and the presence exercise, and this can be part of the course. We can put it on Sutra as part of the library that people can access to go deeper into different topics. Why not?
Yes.
Thank you for making this possible. I mean, you're the one who's set it all up.
Yeah.
All I had to do is just be here.
It takes two to
We
forget.
also have a Telegram channel and a WhatsApp channel since last night.
Amazing.
Well, I think they can, because there's a link, or there's also a name that they can look up either in WhatsApp or in Telegram and find our channel, but I don't know now what it is exactly. So
Maybe you
refer
can ask
them
for
to
for the
you or
website, no?
to the academy.
It's
Yeah, it is. It's going to be on the website.
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. It is. It is.
Having
Yes.
said
Thank you. Bye-bye.